As the end of the school year approaches, thousands of teachers across the country are facing the prospect of being laid off. And that's prompting questions about the role of seniority in determining which teachers stay and who is let go. NewsHour special correspondent John Tulenko reports from Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay, Lucinda, you got to take it piece by piece, remember?
Last summer, when Elena Ritchie was looking for a teaching job in Hartford, Connecticut, she got a call from Principal Gerald Martin, inviting her to an interview late on a Friday afternoon.
I needed a fifth grade teacher, and I was kind of pressed for it. She said, well, I can come Monday. And I said, okay, Monday. And she said, you know what, I can come today.
What spot?
She was hired, and she hasn't disappointed.
What number's in it?
She had, on the first round of testing, the highest number of increases of anyone in grades 3, 4, and 5.
But recently, budget cuts forced Martin to eliminate 2 positions, and he knew right away who'd have to go.
I'm saying, oh my God, I just hired her. I finally got someone, you know, who's really working out really well.
And yet she's the one who has to go.
She has to go, and that kind of breaks my professional heart.
What are you going to be doing? Martin has no choice, because in Hartford, as in most places, layoffs are based entirely on seniority. It's last in, first out, and Ritchie was last in. But now, with yet another round of teacher layoffs coming in Hartford and across the country, opposition to seniority is growing.
I don't care how long someone's been teaching, I want results.
The critics include Steve Perry, principal of Capitol Prep, one of Hartford's most successful high schools.
I want to be able to choose the faculty that work in this school, not because they have 10 years of service or maybe just 6 years of service, but in fact that they are the best fit for our children.
The way it works now has led to some strange decisions. For instance, it's often happened that 2 teachers started on the same day, but one has to go.
His Social Security number ends in a 1, her Social Security number ends in a 0, she has the lower Social Security number, she gets to keep the job.
You're kidding me. You're not kidding me.
It is an embarrassment to all that we do in education when it comes down to that.
I would suggest to you we can do better than that we have an obligation to our children to do better than that.
For more than 2 years, Hartford Superintendent Stephen Adamowski has been pushing to change seniority in the teacher's contract.
Every student has a right to the most qualified teacher available and not the most senior teacher. I think that there is a growing realization that this is the emerging civil rights issue of our time.
We talked about this before.
But seniority has defenders.
Experience has to come for something.
Andrea Johnson heads the Hartford Federation of Teachers.
If you were going to have an operation, I'm sure you would want the doctor with the most experience and the most time in the surgery to be your doctor. That's the way we look at teachers. And I need to ask you about your latest grievance.
Johnson's union has rejected appeals from the district to base staffing decisions in part on teacher performance.
Children come to us as they come to us. We're just part of an equation. You have teachers, you have children, you have families, you have poverty, you have very disruptive situations within our country. It all mixes together.
When the result is failure, Hartford has moved aggressively to close those low-performing schools. But that creates another problem: what to do with all those teachers whose jobs are protected by union contracts.
Well, those faculty and from those schools will now be dispersed throughout the district.
Could they come here?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Why? You're already full.
I know. Because they could bump into our school.
To fully grasp what's going on in Hartford, you have to know what's meant by bumping. When a teacher loses their job, they have the right, under the contract, to take a position from another teacher with less experience anywhere in the district. Bumping is at the center of the controversy in Hartford because it's seen as a threat to the district's 5-year, multi-million-dollar effort that replaced 19 failing schools with new schools.
All of them operate very differently than the schools they replaced. They have a different ethos. They have different methods. They have different training requirements.
Hartford's new schools include a nursing academy and an academy for green technology. They're schools for language studies and for finance and insurance. And in all these places, excess teachers could bump their way in.
They don't even want to be there in the first place because they don't agree with the ethos. They're not trained. The school just takes a step backwards.
I moved from Hartford Public High School to a school with a theme of technology, and I was quite successful there. It wasn't disruptive at all.
Gary Lautrec has taught English in Hartford for 22 years and sees no problem with bumping.
I've seen people bumped in. I haven't seen anything but people working hard to become part of the school, and they do.
Did you just doing a rough draft here?
But the Hartford School District hasn't seen it that way, and 2 years ago asked the state to intervene in the teacher's contract, to change bumping and give principals more power to make staffing decisions on their own. Do you trust principals to stick to education reasons?
No, no, and that's where seniority comes in. There has to be something that's fair for everybody, and I feel that that is the one. Otherwise, we get favoritism or nepotism, that those tisms start jumping in there, and that's very frightening.
I don't think there's any evidence to support that assertion. If I'm a principal, I have to think twice about hiring someone I like versus someone that has a track record of raising results, because ultimately I will suffer for that kind of behavior.
Teachers also worry that without seniority, firing decisions could be influenced by money.
Veteran teachers cost more. I make more money than a person who's been working only 5 years in the system, and I wouldn't want to lose my job because of that.
The financial pressures are real. Hartford is looking for ways to close a $17 million budget shortfall, and it's already let go of 150 teachers in the last 3 years. Those layoffs were based on seniority, and plenty of teachers were bumped. You'd expect it might hurt student performance, but listen to Superintendent Adamowski.
We've had 3 consecutive years of the highest gains of any school district in Connecticut. We're the most improved city in the state. Quite a difference for a district that was dead last and was really the poster child for the achievement gap.
Well, how come you were able to make such big strides in achievement while all this bumping was going on?
Well, we're struggling with this, okay? And I don't want to say that, it's impossible to make strides in achievement. But the point is that this is destabilizing for the schools.
But the state, which had been asked to intervene in the teacher's contract, didn't think so. Recently, an arbitration panel found no evidence of harm and left bumping and seniority in place.
I don't believe seniority is a problem. But, unfortunately, folks don't like to talk about anything but, let's just talk about that teacher, because somebody's got to be to blame.
This seniority issue will be determined in a different venue. There's also a legislative solution here. It will change. It's a question of when in every state.
In the last year, several states passed laws to get rid of last in, first out, and other seniority provisions in teachers' contracts. Superintendent Adamowski is hoping Connecticut's legislature will follow suit.